Today we're going to talk about multiplication and division of signed numbers. And again, maybe we start with an example here of just 2 times 3. And we all know 2 times 3 is 6. But we also realize that we probably think of it this way. Multiplication has a property of repeated addition. While it's not repeated addition, it's a nice property to use to show it. You could think of 3 and 3 to make 6. Or you could say, I could do 2 3 times and get 6. Both ways work. Now, 2 times negative 3, well, you probably could picture that. Do negative 3 twice. Well, negative 3 times negative 3, or plus negative 3 is negative 6. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. But then how would you write the 2's? 2's go this way, but how would you draw negative 3 of those? You can't draw that the way we just talked about. But what you can do is to consider this simply as the question or the statement, the opposite of. It's the opposite of 3 times 2. Well, let's start with it's the opposite of 6. The opposite of 6 is negative 6. And I find that to be a much easier way to think about this. Now, we can also do it in multiple times. And I'm going to do this by quadrants. Again, remember, if we have a coordinate system, y-axis, x-axis, quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we'll go in order. Quadrant 1, 3 times negative 7. 3 times 7 can be brought in, and we can bring the negative like another factor to the front. Negative 3 times 7, because this is one product, negative 21. Next problem. The opposite of 2 times the opposite of 3. We'll bring both negatives outside. The opposite of 2 times 3. We know that 2 negatives make a positive. 2 times 3 is 6. The answer is 6. Negative 2 times 4. Well, again, 2 times 4 is 8. The opposite of 8 is negative 8. Over here on quadrant 4, a negative times negative 2 times negative 7. And a lot of times you can think of this as negative 1. But 1 times 2 times 7 is 14. There are 3 negatives and factors. We've learned now that the opposite of the opposite of the opposite is simply negative, so negative 14. Or an even number of negative factors make a positive, and an odd number of negative factors make a negative. And division is the same. Division is simply multiplication. And what I mean by that is if I go to quadrant 1 here again, negative 4 divided by negative 2. I can pull the negative factors out. Negative, negative. I can change over 2 to 1/2 times 4. Half of 4 is 2. Negative, negative makes a positive. Or 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 2 negatives. An even number of negatives is a positive. Here we have 10 divided by 2. Well, 10 divided by 2 is 5. 1 negative, so it stays negative. And again, our double check here on both of these is what's negative 5 times negative 2. 2 negatives make a positive. 2 times 5 is 10. Over here, 2 times negative 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 1 negative is a negative 4. And again, it doesn't matter how many factors there are. Here I have negative 3 times negative 2 times 4 divided by negative 8, or the fraction of negative 8. I will pull all the negative factors because it's one thing. 1, 2, 3 out in front. 3 times 2 times 4 on top. And I'm going to change the 8 to 2 times 4 because then I see these two are the same. And I get 3 negatives are a negative. It's an odd number. It's negative 3. Over here we have negative 4 times negative 3 times negative 2. Again, you can count. There are 3 negatives at the very top of the problem. So I know my answer is going to be negative. 4 times 3 is 12. Times 2 more is 24. Now, we got to be a little careful. I'm going to warn you about this going forward. The last problem was negative 4 times negative 3 times negative 2. That is negative 24. If I have negative 4 times negative 3 minus 2, that's different because we go back to PEMDAS. Parentheses, exponent, multiply, divide, add, subtract. This is plus negative 2, and we have to do the operations first. Negative times a negative is a positive. 4 times 3 is 12, plus negative 2. 12 to the right, 2 back. The answer to this problem is 10. Again, an even number of signs in a multiplication problem or division problem makes a positive. An odd number of signs in a multiplication or division problem makes a negative, while watching for addition and subtraction.